Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I have something very special. Special for you, the viewer, and special for me, especially special. Come on now. I have something today that I want to show you guys that I just recently got in the mail a few days ago. So if you watched my most recent video, which I'll link up here, you'll see towards the end of the video, I actually mentioned that I have a saber on the way, and this is the saber that I have on the way. So before I get to that, if you are new to the channel and you do love lightsaber content, please consider subscribing to the channel. You don't have to if you don't like the content. I'm not forcing you to do that, but it would mean a lot to me, and it would really help out the channel. As of right now, as you can see right here, 94-ish% of you are not subscribed, and only about 6% of you are subscribed. So it would really mean a lot to me if we can change that up a little bit and get some more subscribers, because I do really want to help all of you that are watching, and hopefully I can provide some fun and some good content for all of you watching. So that aside, what I have to show you today. So the first time I ever saw a lightsaber, I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I believe one of my family members was watching Return of the Jedi on a VHS tape. Come on, VHS tapes, come on. So it's the first lightsaber I saw, and it was the first Star Wars scene that I saw. So if you remember in the movie, there's the scene at the Sarlacc pit with Jabba the Hutt and his henchmen and Lando and Han Solo and Luke and R2-D2 and C-3PO and Leia, where Luke has his lightsaber ejected out of R2-D2 and he catches it and saves everybody, and he's got that green lightsaber. That was the first lightsaber that I ever saw, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And many people who saw that for the first time, that blew them away. Now, if you don't know, the reason why the lightsaber was green, besides all the lore behind it about consulars and guardians and what the blue and green and red, all that stuff means, put all that aside. The real reason why it was green in the movie was because they wanted a better contrast in the blade color of the between the sky, the blue sky in the desert, and the blade, because before that Luke's lightsaber was blue, so it would have been not that much contrast between the blade and the sky. So for that reason, George Lucas and Lucasfilm decided to make the blade green to have a better contrast between the blade and the sky. And from then it just stuck. And that was one of the coolest things that I ever saw before knowing all that. I didn't even know that until maybe a few months ago, that that's the reason why it was green. But nonetheless, that was really cool to me. And the way that Luke's lightsaber looked, the saber itself, was that blew me away. And when I first started asking for toy lightsabers when I was little, I could never find that Luke lightsaber ever. They always had the Graflex, you know, the classic Anakin Skywalker saber with the retractable blade, those little cheap Hasbro ones, or whatever, whoever made those. But I could never find that Luke one, and there was a big hiatus between me owning those little cheap plastic Hasbro cheap ones from Walmart and whatever. There was a big hiatus between that and owning what I own today, something like the Saber Trio. And as you all know by now, there's a massive difference between those kind of sabers and something like this, a NeoPixel with Crystal Focus 10. It's a big difference. So there's a long gap between that and this, and since then I've learned about custom installers, and I've learned about saber companies, and I've learned about replica hilts and all that kind of stuff. So recently I had the opportunity to get my hands on a Luke Skywalker lightsaber. Now, if you don't know, I'll link in the description below what I'm about to mention, but if you don't know, there were actually about 4 different versions of that lightsaber in the movie. There was there's like a stunt version, there was a shared stunt version, there's a hero version, and there's a V2 stunt version. So what I have today drum roll please, is this. This is a Parks LS Stunt V2 with weathering. You can see that weathering. I believe it's called like Trooper Trent weathering or something like that. It's like stenciled or something. Not exactly sure how they do that, but it is very accurate to the movie in terms of the weathering and the coloration. So this is shown, this exact version is shown in that Sarlacc pit scene. When Luke, I'll show the screenshot right here, when the saber is ejected out of R2-D2's head and flies toward Luke, and he catches it and it ignites it for the first time, which was my first experience with a lightsaber ever. That was the first time I ever saw it. This is what you saw. This is the weathered version, and it has this kind of control box and switch plate, and it's got this little lever latch thing right here, this clamp. And this is also the version that you see that is hanging on Luke's belt for the entirety of the movie. There are other versions that you see for split seconds or in certain scenes. For example, the version with the opposite style of control box, which is a little thicker and it's like straighter lines, and it has the light up arrows and the two black buttons right here. That's shown in the scene where Luke and Vader are walking down that corridor, and Vader's like, I see you have constructed a new lightsaber. And he's holding it in his hands and kind of flourishing it, brandishing it. And that's the version that you see with the light up arrows and the black switches. That's what you see in that scene. And that was one of the only few close-up scenes that you see of the sabers. So that's typically what's regarded as the hero version. There's also another scene, which was a deleted scene, where Luke is actually constructing that new lightsaber. And it's in a cave, and you can see him messing around with like a little tool and some parts, and you can see a few things, and it is that same version with that control box, with the light up arrows, and with those two black switches. And in that deleted scene, you can see after he's done messing with it, his hand goes down to about right here, or his thumb goes down to about right here, and presses that bottom black button to turn on the saber. Now, I do have that other control box with me, and I can have it installed and swapped on here, which I am considering right now. Let me know down in the comments what you think, if you have one of these, or if you have worked on one of these before. Because I am planning to have this installed. I have the option to leave this as an empty hilt and have it sit on a wall or sit on a stand, or put it in a box or something like that, really make it look real nice. But you know, after seeing that scene with the green blade, with this saber, I really can't bring myself to not have it installed. I really want this installed, and I really want to turn this on one day in a few months down the line or whenever, and have a green blade coming out of it. That would really go a long way for me, and that would be really special for me. So I am planning to have this installed. Like I mentioned in my previous video, which I'll link up here, there are saber companies and there are installers and saber smiths that can install sabers for you. What I will likely do is just send this back to Corbanth and have this installed. It will cost, you know, 400 something bucks to have it installed, but you know, I will really pay a premium to have this installed. Honestly, I hate to do it, Saber Trio. I really hate to do it, but this is my favorite hilt now. This is my favorite saber now, and it's not installed yet. This is empty, and this is a NeoPixel with Crystal Focus 10. And let me just say, this is a lot heavier than this is. This feels like a toothpick in comparison to this. This feels like a brick. And I've heard a snippet from George Lucas, I believe, before, or maybe Mark Hamill, when they're talking about the original trilogy lightsabers. They really felt heavy, like very heavy, and they were meant to be two-handed sabers, which is why a lot of the times in in the fight scenes in those movies, you see them holding it with two hands. Very, very rarely, like in the sequels and the prequels, you'll see them doing stuff with one hand, because those stunt props were actually not super heavy like in the original trilogy. This is very solid feeling. Not to say that this isn't solid feeling, this still feels extremely solid. It's just this is made with much lighter material than this is. And this is fully installed and it's still a lot lighter than this is empty. So we'll see how it goes. But one thing that I am considering, like as I mentioned with the fact that I have the other control box, is in terms of functionality. And in terms of a NeoPixel installed saber, they can do one of two things when they install this. They can put the switches under this switch plate here, put one right here, maybe one right here. Like if you have an Electric saber, they have those switch plate designs and they have the buttons like that. It's kind of the same concept that Corbanth does. And you can activate and do the auxiliary switch like that, or I can have them put the other control box on and actually put those two black buttons to use. And I'm really grappling with my decision on that. I haven't even talked to Corbanth yet about it, but I really don't know, because this is accurate to what you see in that scene. This is accurate to what you see throughout the entire film. This is what's hanging on his belt for the entire movie. So this is very, very accurate. Now, there are a few things like the D-ring placement is actually supposed to be right here, and it's supposed to be a little bit more rounded. I don't care about that. Those little tiny things really don't concern me. But the rest of the hilt is fairly accurate. There are more accurate versions. I believe Roman props is probably the most accurate version. But trust me, at this point, I don't care, because I don't want to have buyer's remorse and look at this and be like, oh man, that one's more accurate. I don't care. I really don't care, because when the first time that I took this out of the box, shout out to Patrick from Nova Scotia who sent this to me. The first time I took this out of the box that he sent it to me in, I may have teared up. Or maybe my eyes were sweating. Who knows? No one will ever know. But this really means a lot to me. And whether I have it with the control box, with the black switches, or if I have it just like this, either way it'll have the same functionality. It's just aesthetics, really. And whether it's more accurate to certain scenes in the movie, which, like I said, the first scene that I ever saw with a lightsaber was with this lightsaber, was with this design, with this weathering. This is what I saw the first time. So another aspect is whether I should have it installed with a Crystal Focus 10 soundboard or with a Profi soundboard. Corbanth specializes in Profi soundboards, although I believe you can have it installed with Crystal Focus 10 if you so choose. And I don't claim to be a Crystal Focus 10 expert, but I do know a lot about Crystal Focus 10 and how it operates and how to customize it. Profi is something that I have not taken on that challenge yet, but I do want to learn more about it, and I do love all the effects that it has in comparison to Crystal Focus 10. And as I mentioned in my previous video, the Profi is the best soundboard. There's no denying that. And I'm not going to sit here and be a Crystal Focus 10 shill and tell you that Crystal Focus 10 is the best overall, because it really isn't. If you're thinking about it in a few ways. First of all, the Crystal Focus 10 is more expensive. Crystal Focus 10 is not open source. It's developed by Plector Labs, and it's updated by Plector Labs and Earth Plector, and that it's not everyday new updates. It is spaced out a little bit, but that being said, it's not far worse than Profi. It is a great soundboard, and I will continue to recommend the Crystal Focus 10 soundboard because it is much easier to use and to customize than a Profi. So I'm really leaning more towards Profi, honestly, because I do love all the blade effects and all the effects that you can get with a Profi. Not to mention it'll probably bring down the cost on the install a little bit, as the Crystal Focus 10 costs like $40 more than a Profi. and Profi's open source, so I can just ask anybody who has Profi sabers, or anybody that works on Profi, and there's a lot of people that work on Profi because it is open source. I can just ask them for help and all that stuff, and there aren't that many guides out there on Crystal Focus 10. There's the manual, but if you've tried to read that manual before and read it multiple times, it is very difficult, which is why I have posted videos like up here about the Crystal Focus 10 effects and what you need to do to trigger those effects, because I was in your shoes. I really didn't know a whole lot about Crystal Focus 10 when I first bought my Saber Trio, and I had to do a lot of digging to customize my Saber and really get those effects that I wanted. So with that all being said, I really am considering having this installed with a Profi soundboard so I can really have the best of the best. There's another aspect that I wasn't really expecting when Patrick sent this to me, is this. So you can see the Saber here, it looks pretty seamless. However, rotate it and there is a crystal chamber. And I have the crystal. Patrick sent it to me, thank you so much. And I probably will be sending the crystal that I have off to Corbanth when I have this installed, and have them set up that crystal chamber for me. As if you've never seen a crystal chamber saber, it looks really, really cool. And if I already have it, then why not have it installed? Whether it's accurate or not, who cares? Real lightsabers, if lightsabers were real, they actually would have kyber crystals and focusing crystals and all that kind of stuff in it. So why not just have it look a little bit cooler? So you twist it, pull it up, and then there you go. So in terms of what I'd like to do with this, as I mentioned, I'm probably going to have this installed with Profi. I'm probably going to have this installed with the crystal chamber. This does come with different emitter styles, and it does have the brass or copper looking piece here that I can switch out, and a different neck. You see this neck is a little bit, it has like a notch right there. There is a smoother version that I have, and there are some different things that I can switch out on this. But as of right now, the only things that I'm really considering switching is the control box, just in terms of functionality. But I may, if you have one of these, or if you have a NeoPixel installed version, let me know down below if you prefer having the switches underneath this this board right here, or if you like having the Hero control box style with the black buttons. Either way, it's partially accurate to the movie or not. Like I said before, I'm not gonna really harp on that, because this is a work of art, and I'm really happy I got this. And with that being said, I don't know when I will have this installed. It is pretty pricey, and if probably the majority of you don't know, I am a college student, and I am trying to pay for rent, and I'm trying to pay for bills, and in the United States there's the coronavirus, and there's a lot of things that we're not being taken care of in terms of financial stability for college students in this time. And so this may be a project that lasts a few months. This may be something that I may have done as soon as I can. I don't know yet. But if you continue to watch my videos and support me, then I can have this done a lot faster. So that being said, thank you all so much for watching. If you are interested in getting one of these, I believe they are currently sold out on Corbanth's website. This is the LS Stunt V2. They have the V3 versions, and they have the hero looking versions and stuff like that also, if that's something you're interested in. They sell Luke replica sabers on the Custom Saber Shop. They sell them on Roman's Props. There are all different places to buy them from. If you're looking for a hero version that's installed, I recommend the Parks store. That's a great option. So with that all being said, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for the support of the channel. This is really something that I'm gonna hold dear to my heart forever. And I'm sorry, little Vectra. This is my favorite saber now, and it's really purely because of nostalgia. And I hate to do that because this is my first saber ever, and this is my favorite saber ever, and this is the first lightsaber that I ever saw in my life. So I think you can understand where I'm coming from. And this isn't to pit Saber Trio against Corbath and anything like that. This is just my personal preference now, and the nostalgia factor that this holds and this carries in my heart, and something that I've loved for a really long time, for 15, 16 years, something like that. So once again, thank you all so much for the support on the channel. Thank you so much for the support on my videos. Please feel free to check out my other videos, more content coming in the future. I'm going to try to pump out content more regularly, but like I mentioned, I am a college student and I am being swamped with stuff for class and trying to graduate and all that kind of stuff. So thank you all so much, and may the force be with you.